It's late. You told yourself you'd put the phone down 20 minutes ago. Instead, you're still scrolling. Someone from high school just bought a house. Someone you went to college with just got promoted to a title you don't fully understand, but it sounds important. Someone you don't even remember adding is on a beach somewhere, and the caption says something about manifesting the life I deserve. And you feel it. That small, familiar drop in your chest. Not jealousy exactly. Something quieter than that. Something closer to, I should be further along by now. You close the app. The feeling doesn't close with it. Take a seat for a second. I want to talk about that feeling, where it actually comes from, and why it might be the least trustworthy emotion you have. There's a term psychologists use called social comparison theory. It's not new. It was described back in the 1950s, long before anyone had a phone in their pocket. The idea is simple. Humans figure out how they're doing by measuring themselves against other people, because we don't have an internal ruler for things like success or worth. We borrow one from whoever's nearest. For most of human history, nearest meant your street, your workplace, maybe your extended family, a few dozen people, tops. Now, nearest means everyone. You're not just comparing yourself to your coworkers or your cousins anymore. You're comparing your actual lived Tuesday afternoon life, the dishes in the sink, the bills you haven't opened yet, the body that didn't sleep well, against the single best 5 seconds of thousands of strangers' entire lives. That's not a fair fight. It was never supposed to be. Here's the part that matters most. What you're seeing isn't even a highlight reel of someone's life. It's a highlight reel of the version of their life they wanted you to believe. Nobody posts the fight they had that morning. Nobody posts the anxiety about the mortgage they can barely afford. Nobody posts the promotion that came with a boss who makes them miserable. You are comparing your behind the scenes. And this costs more than a bad 5 minutes on the couch. There's research on something called timeline anxiety, the specific stress of measuring your life against an invisible schedule you never agreed to. Home by 28, married by 30, a certain job title, a certain number in your savings account by a certain birthday. Nobody handed you this schedule. You built it. Quietly, out of thousands of glimpses into other people's edited lives. And the danger isn't just the anxiety itself, it's what the anxiety makes you do. People who feel chronically behind don't usually respond by moving faster and smarter. They freeze. They abandon things that were actually working because it didn't look like someone else's version of working. They chase a timeline instead of a life. Maybe that's you right now. Maybe you've quietly rewritten your own goals to match someone else's without ever noticing the handoff. Here's a small, honest question. Not for the comment section, just for you. The last time you felt behind, really felt it, can you remember what actually triggered it? Was it a real conversation with someone who knows your full story? Or was it 15 seconds of a stranger's curated life, viewed at 11 at night, when you were already tired and already vulnerable? Be honest. It's almost always the second one. And that matters, because it means the feeling isn't really information about your life. It's a reaction to a manufactured image at the worst possible time of day, with no context attached. You wouldn't take financial advice from someone who only shows you their wins and never their losses. So why are you taking life advice about how far along you should be from the same source? This isn't a video telling you to delete your accounts and move to a cabin. That's not realistic, and honestly, it's not necessary. What actually helps is smaller than that, and much harder to perform for anyone else. First, notice the moment, not just the feeling. When that drop in your chest shows up, pause and ask what you were just looking at. Naming the trigger takes away most of its power. It stops being a mysterious mood and starts being a predictable reaction to a specific kind of input. Second, measure against your own timeline, not a borrowed one. Not where should I be by 30, but where was I a year ago, and where am I now? That's the only comparison that's actually fair, because it's the only one built from your real starting point, not someone else's highlight reel. Third, remember that you only see what people choose to show. The version of you that exists online is curated too, whether you meant it to be or not. Everyone's is. Once you actually believe that, not just know it, but believe it, the comparison starts to lose its grip because you stop treating a performance like it's evidence. None of this happens in one night. It's not a switch. It's a habit you build the same slow way you built the comparing habit in the first place, one noticed moment at a time. Picture that same evening again. Same couch, same tired day behind you. But this time, when the feed shows you a house, a title, a beach, something shifts before the old reaction even fully arrives. You notice it. You name it. That's a highlight, not a full picture, not a fair comparison. And you put the phone down, not because you're avoiding it, but because you don't need it to tell you how your life is going anymore. You're not behind. There was never a real schedule to be behind on. There was only ever your own quiet, specific life, moving at its own pace, which was the only pace that was ever actually yours. If this one felt like it was speaking directly to you, that probably means it was. You're not the only one carrying this. Almost everyone scrolling tonight is measuring themselves against the same impossible highlight reel. Subscribe if you want more conversations like this one. No hype, no quick fixes, just honest reflection on how we actually navigate this. Take care of yourself this week. You're doing better than that feed is letting you believe.